Am I good, Ricky? There we go. Welcome, everybody, to the Board of Aldermen meeting for the month of July. I appreciate seeing so many faces in attendance. I am going to call the meeting to order. If everybody could please just silence their phones or put them on vibrate, I would appreciate that. My watch hasn't worked all morning, so watch it go off during the meeting, but we should be good. So with that, I'm going to call the meeting to order, and I'm going to ask Alderman Olszewski if she could do the invocation.
I'll take a moment. Bless this town, and may it remain a beautiful and friendly place to live. We pray that this board makes fair and informed decisions this morning. We also pray that our police officers, firefighters, and members of our armed services here and around the world remain safe as they risk so much for our security. We also pray that our town be spared the ravages of hurricanes and other natural disasters, and that everyone associated with the town remains safe and secure. Amen.
Amen. Pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the next order of business is to request an approval of our agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And then we're going to move right on to the manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. Beach projects and operations, potential tropical cyclone number 8. Work has paused for the season for beach operations effective May 2nd. So we continue to be on hold until after turtle season. This project continues to move through the process of FEMA for potential obligation of funds. We have uploaded all the engineer responses to the request for information since the last Board of Aldermen meeting. We also responded to an additional request for information on how plantings will be installed in the dunes. The project remains at the CRC level at this time. I've reached out for an update and I'm told that there is no set timeline for CRC completion, and they will inform me as soon as they can with any updates or additional requests for information that may arise in the project. A lot of work has been completed in the FEMA portal since the last meeting on old projects. GWI has provided a FEMA status of projects that was included under the finance report. In the meeting packet, a lot more progress was made between Deborah Mack and I last week into this week with completing the EHP certifications and approving the scopes of work back from 2018-2019 timeframe. This was in Florence Dorian projects as well. Obviously, I was not here during this time, nor was GWI, and I had a concern of us certifying this work. I asked Deborah to prepare documentation, which she then submitted to engineer Fran Way, who was here at the time, so he was able to sign off so that Deborah can then upload all of those certifications and documents. Then I could go into the portal and then certify. But there's a full report, as I mentioned, following the finance report on the agenda.
Alice, can I ask a real quick question on Tropical Cyclone 8? Sure. For the audience and for those who happen to watch from home. So I know we were able to complete the emergency repairs, as you had mentioned, and the project will pick up after turtle season. I also believe it's on our website that shows the details of the project and information on who potentially will get sand and who won't. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I just want everybody to please, instead of social media, please go to the town's website and take a look under our projects tab, because Alice and the staff does a lot of work in just trying to keep everything out there for everybody.
And the work for PTC8 is primarily in phases 1 through 3, with some work in 4, but primarily in phases 1 through 3.
Thank you.
The cost share project for beach plantings, the cost share project with coastal transplants for sea oats and bitter panicum wrapped up is scheduled on June 13th. The final number was 24,300 plants that were purchased and planted through this initiative. The project page was updated as well. The Topsail Island Vitex Eradication Project. Each town received a proposed contract for review from Michael Baker, who will be the contractor on the project. We, along with Topsail Beach, provided amendments back to the contractor. A final contract is pending. So the comments that we received from our attorney, the Topsail Beach's attorney, which was almost identical, went back to Michael Baker, and it's under review at this time. Ocean City Jazz Festival. Staff has been busy assisting with preparations for the Ocean City Jazz Festival this week. The event will kick off on July 4th at 4:00 p.m. Mayor McDermott's scheduled to provide welcoming remarks at 5:00 p.m. and this event will be from July 4th and run through July 6th.
Al, before you leave that, can you give some specifics to the audience on like what we do, like what Public Works is doing, how does the town help with that, like specifically?
The Jazz Festival? Sure. Every year prior to the Jazz Festival, we sit down, we meet with Miss Carla and Craig Torrey, who, put a lot into this festival, see what, assistance they may need from us. We get the list of what they may need assistance on. That includes, spraying for mosquitoes, which the county assisted in this year. I coordinated that with the county, actually. Also striping for parking lot spaces, Public Works handles. We get ice. We deliver ice as needed throughout the festival coming from Surf City. I coordinated the trash through GFL, where they provide the receptacles. They tell me how many receptacles I need. I have that many dropped off during the week of the event for them to use. Public Works then picks up the trash through the event and takes it back to our facility at Public Works, where I also had a 30-yard scheduled where all the garbage will get dumped into and then emptied when the festival is wrapped up. Our police department, of course, is very involved with traffic control. We have a command center set up at the event where they operate and provide any assistance that's needed. Our fire department assists as well and is on site. They've assisted with setting up tables and chairs. And anything else that's needed from their end and being on site. And we have Public Works, 2 people scheduled throughout the event on site to assist as needed.
So thank you, because this is a big deal for the community, and we love the Jazz Festival, but it's a lot of work, and we appreciate all the work everybody in the town does to support this. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Yeah, and the amount of work that we do is, the festival coordinators themselves with Tories and the Ocean City Citizens Council, they put a lot of hard work into this event, and to get the acts that we have that are Grammy Award winning artists. It's truly a magnificent event. So if you haven't been, I would encourage you all to check it out this year.
Thank you.
Sure. GFL contract, and if you need event information, you can go to their website, oceancityjazzfest.com. GFL contract, the new agreement with GFL Environmental took effect on July 1st, which was yesterday. For solid waste and recycling services, we had a lot of discussions on this. The board already approved the agreement a few months back. All towns, to include North Topsail Beach, Surf City, Topsail Beach, and Holly Ridge, have all executed individual agreements. The website has been updated to reflect all of the new information, which includes a phone number for customer service as of July 1. The fee schedule adopted in the budget incorporated all the new rate information. There will also be 2 bulk item pickups offered, like we talked about, under the new agreement this year. So that's new for residents this year that we didn't provide in past years. The first one will be scheduled in the fall, and the second in the spring, and those dates will be announced soon.
So, second thing on that. So for people that need a new cart or a problem with a cart, are they calling town hall or are they calling that customer service number?
If they need if they have a customer service issue regarding a missed pickup, if they have, a cart damaged, they would call the customer service for GFL. If it's adding an additional cart, then they would contact us. So that, because the billing's handled through ONWASA, so that helps us track everything and make sure that everyone's being billed for the appropriate containers, and we're keeping track of.
But most importantly, the pickup days are the same.
The pickup days are the
Okay, thank
same,
you.
nothing has changed. And new carts will be rolled out. The GFL will be delivering those in November. Even though the contract took effect July 1, it doesn't make logistical sense to have all these carts being changed out and delivered July 1 in the middle of our busy season. So we negotiated that to come later into November.
Just a couple of quick comments. Alice had mentioned, and it's in here, the FEMA process status projects. I would have people go there. It's a reminder for everybody that we are thankfully in a position where we can fund these things. All of these projects are reimbursement projects. The town has to put the money out front, and right now we're waiting for millions of dollars to come back. 5 or 6 years ago, we would not have been able to do those projects, so that's very good. The second thing is, even though my buddy Kip back there tried to do this, there's a lot of information out there on Vitex. What I would say is anybody that came to the BISAC meeting, Chris Gibson gave a discussion of how bad that is for the beaches. Apparently it gives off, is it pheromones, Mike, they were talking about? It actually kills the other plants. It doesn't have a deep root structure, and it destroys the other grasses on the dunes. So it may look nice, but it is very destructive to the dunes. Because I read on social media that, well, I really like this, it doesn't help the dunes. It kills all the grasses that hold the dunes. And I thought, and Larry's here, Chris did a great job, if you can find that in the recording, describing how bad that is for the beach. So I would direct people to that part of the discussion, so thanks.
The only thing that I don't think there's even an update on yet, Alice, is anything from the DOT? Did anything come back from
No,
them?
nothing further. They did ask, as I relayed to the board, they asked for follow-up information on the board's January meeting when the speed limit was discussed. The minutes were provided to them the morning after they requested it. So, and I haven't heard anything further back from them.
So nothing on the resurfacing?
And nothing on the resurfacing project.
When you get a minute, can you just ask if they have an update from CAMA? Because it would be nice to know what we're allowed to do. Yeah, okay. Anything else for Alice? Thank you so much.
Thanks, Al.
And so the next item, I believe, is open forum. Do we have anybody signed up?
No.
Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak at this open forum? No?
Okay, another one.
There will be another one. And then Ms. Hill is already ahead of me, coming up to the podium, because we have a public presentation and hearing for public use case SUP 24-000001, Osprey and Crystal Shores Homeowners Association's request a special use permit to develop a designated parking area for bicycles, golf carts, and low-speed vehicles at 380 New River Inlet Road, zoned residential R20. And Deb, before you start, I was going to ask if the attorney wouldn't mind just kind of going through with the board what it is the guidelines are for them.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as the board knows, this is a special use permit hearing. So pursuant to 160D 406A, it's a quasi-judicial hearing. So as the permit granting authority, the board will be hearing testimony in the form of a presentation of evidence. You'll then determine the facts and make a decision on whether to issue the special permit or not. Pursuant to 160D 406J, every quasi-judicial decision shall be based upon competent material and substantial evidence in the record. According to the town's UDO, section 2.20D5, in granting the permit, the board shall make a written decision that identifies the key facts of the case and applies these facts to the following standards, all of which must be met in order to grant the special use permit, and there's 3 of them. The first is the use or development is located, designed, and proposed to be operated so as to maintain or promote the public health, safety, and general welfare. The second is the use or development complies with all required regulations and standards of this ordinance and with all other applicable regulations. And the third is the use or development conforms to the plans for the land use and development of the town as embodied in the town zoning ordinance and in the town's CAMA land use plan. So essentially, after hearing testimony, the board should deliberate and apply the facts to each of these three elements, vote on whether each of the elements has been met, and after that's done, then the board should deliberate and vote on whether to issue the special permit. The chair, under the statute, is authorized to administer oaths to those witnesses who come before the board to present competent material and substantial evidence for the record. And please note that under the UDO, if the board denies the request for the special use permit, it must enter its reasons for its actions in the minutes of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Hill. Okay, do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I don't usually get to do this.
I think I can hold. Can I hold it? I can't raise it. Can I do that? Does that count?
Okay.
All right, right?
Do you swear that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay? Thanks.
To add on to the mayor's introduction, in the brief summary of request, the property is zoned R20. It's, that portion is currently vacant. South of it is the Jeffries property that the town has established parking on. To the north is zoned R15 with the single family. Across New River Inlet Road is zoned R20, which is also vacant. For the site improvements, there's currently a crossover on the property. The leased area is 0.78 acres or 12,100 square feet. The future land use classification per the comprehensive plan is low density residential. The request has gone through a technical review committee with Division of Coastal Management, which they've received their CAMA permit. NCDOT, which is going to require an easement agreement and a driveway application once approved by, if the request is approved by the board today. The fire chief and police chief have also reviewed the request and have no objections. The pursuant to UDO table 4.1, parking lots as a principal use require a special use permit in all zoning districts and are not allowed in Con D. So that's the key for the request, why it's coming before the board instead of being able to be approved administratively. The planning board held a meeting on Thursday, June the 12th, and reviewed the application. Ms. Ward made a recommendation to approve consistent with the comprehensive plan. And Mr. Wilkinson seconded the motion, and the motion passed unanimously to recommend approval of the request. Closer? Okay. I'm sorry, I was thinking it was really loud. I can't tell. Sorry. And included with the attachments, the application is included as attachment 1. The site plan is attachment 2. The CAMA minor permit 13-25 is included as attachment 3. And 4, 5, and 6 are the responses from the fire chief, the police chief, and NCDOT in that order. Does the board have any questions of me? Okay, and David's here to represent the Osprey Crystal Shores
I have a
HOA, if
question.
you'd like to hear from him. Okay, sorry.
If we approve this, it has to follow the CAMA rules, correct?
Yes, and they've already been issued a camera permit for that.
Which would mean that no sand could be removed from the lot, correct?
They have no intentions that I've been notified of, and there wouldn't be any purpose for removing the sand. They would want to place gravel,
Well, yeah, sure.
and to kind of rope it off,
Yeah.
to do a demarcation of the parking area itself.
Thank you.
That was my question too. Is there any considerations of hardscape, or is there no hardscape? And is surfacing staying under all the regs?
Can you repeat that last phrase?
Under, we don't usually like a lot of additional new hardscape.
Right.
Okay, so there isn't any hardscape proposed, Deb?
No, they're going to put up like post and rope
Okay.
to kind of control the area since it will be private. The only hardscape, so to speak, is signage that indicates that it's HOA, for HOA members only, and what the rules are.
Okay.
They also, and I'll throw this in, they have the HOAs have a landscaper, so they're going to task their landscaper with policing that area and making sure that there's not any litter, et cetera.
So that's not an ongoing cost to the town as we go forward?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be they're going to take care of that.
So Deb, my only question was, you had mentioned Con D. Is this in Con D or no?
No, that property is zoned R20.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's R20, and it's part of the Jeffries lot that, this is just like a bite-sized piece out of the top of it.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. And,
You're good?
yes. Thanks.
Good morning. My name is Dave Dalsimer, and I'm here to ask a request. I'd like to say, first of all, it's budget friendly, so there's no cost to the town. Thank you very much for your time this morning and your continued commitment in keeping North Topsail Beach fun and safe. So I represent Mr. Robert Jeffries, who owns the property, 2 HOAs, and over 50 families that live and reside and enjoy North Topsail Beach. Our request is just simply making a safe and confined area for just a few number of golf carts and those that have bicycles that go to the beach. As Deb Hill has mentioned, this is going to be a rope and post area to designate what that area is. It will be private, limited use. It has signage that will state that violators will be towed. It's only going to be the width of 5 feet entrance, so no automobile can make any entrance. We are basically going from private property to private property directly across the street. And we have been through the planning committee and presented this material. There are multiple examples in North Topsail Beach of this being done right now. In our community, we have many older people, we have some with special needs and handicaps, and we have a lot of small children and grandchildren that are trying to get to the beach to have fun in a safe manner. We are not looking for any construction. There is no construction here. It's basically just leveling the sand, getting rid of the prickly pear cactus and some other prickers that are there. No fun to walk on those. And getting to the beach. We're trying to get there safely to enhance our enjoyment of access to the beach. We will be maintaining the vegetation and the berm that exists, the natural landscape. We're going to include, and we've requested, a crosswalk to be placed with NCDOT. So this will be, again, another safety factor for our residents. The HOA, as mentioned, will maintain the property. We will take care of the trash. We'll take care of the weeds. We'll take care of things that are necessary, and even to the extent that we'll police it. So if someone does use this property without permission, we'll approach them kindly and say, if you see the signage, it is private property. So again, there is no hassle, there's no fuss, and there's no additional cost to the town's budget. This has already been approved unanimously by the planning committee, by the town planner, and we've received permission from both the fire chief and police chief. So we are asking your request to allow us to simply provide a spot for us to safely park our golf carts, few in number, and bicycles on the private property that we've leased to gain access for enjoyment of the beach.
Does the board have any questions? Go ahead.
How long is the lease for?
20 years and renewable. And Mr. Jeffries has access to this property and plans to use it as well.
Do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second? Is there anybody else in the audience that does want to speak? Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you very
so
much for your
sir.
time.
I appreciate it.
Could you stay up there? We're gonna have, I have we're gonna open it up for us to talk about it.
I was going to make a motion, a second, and discussion. Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, well, I'm going to open it up for board discussion.
Just real quick.
Yes.
It's a wonderful idea. I made a copy of the golf cart regulations. You keep using the word golf cart. I don't want to get into that LSD golf cart stuff, so I just wanted to hand it to you because I would suggest you guys, I think it's a great idea. I'm 100% for it.
Thank you.
But I would make sure that you talk to the chief so we don't have,
Yes.
I don't want to get phone calls from
Yes,
people
sir.
with golf carts on them.
Yes, we've had several conversations
Whether you
with,
use golf carts and LSVs the same way or not. So,
they're not, right, all right.
anyway, I just wanted to.
Very important.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other board discussion?
So I just want to be sure that, in looking at the diagrams and reading everything, it looks like you're going to come out of your development and kind of angle it across, straight across the angled to where you're crossing the multi-use path, but not actually driving on the multi-use path, correct?
Correct.
Because we know there's an issue with that at your other beach access further down to the left. Because there are multiple times I've seen and others have seen.
We're trying to eliminate that, sir.
Yeah.
So we will be, exactly what you state, crossing perpendicular
'cause-
multi-use paths and going from private property to private property.
Yeah, I
That's
think-
why we are initiating this.
Right, I think it's great, and I think especially if it will get the LSVs, okay, off of the multi-use path, because I don't think maybe Chief can provide additional guidance, but I don't think they're supposed to be on that path. I think it has a sign somewhere about no motorized vehicles, so it'd be great if this fixes all that.
It will.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's our goal. Thank you.
Yep, so I have a, yeah, go ahead, Connie.
I just want to say, I think this is a great idea, and I really want to commend you for working with the town and getting this done. And I think it will provide that extra aspect of safety for your community and for everybody else. Thank you.
Yep.
So we have a first and a second. Ms. Darian, would you call for the final board vote? Do you mind?
Aye.
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 Yeah. Okay, so we've passed. Thank you, guys. All right, so do I have an approval on the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so then the next item is going to be continuing business, and I'm going to turn over to Manager Darian for GWI Tax and Accounting Contract Consideration.
Thank you. Yes, and Ms. Beth Wood with GWI is with us via Teams this morning. So if there's any questions, she is here to address any questions that she may answer as well on the new proposed contract. From the last meeting, the board had asked that we go back and we use the guidance that we got. Trey, Attorney Ferguson, Attorney Payson, Ms. Wood and I have met to go through and try to address the board's concerns that were given at that time. So this agreement incorporates all of those items at this time. GWI's contract, if you recall, was extended through June 30th. So as of July 1st, we no longer have a contract with GWI. So this is just putting in a contract for going forward. And also, we incorporated language in there that the contract could be terminated by either party with 30 days' notice.
Okay, so anything else, Alice? Okay, so what I wanted to do is follow the standard procedure to keep this in order, ask for a motion, a second, and then we can have some discussion. Okay?
Motion to consider.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we are open for discussion. Is there any board member that, okay, go ahead, Alderman Gray.
So in keeping with my personality, I obviously sent a lot of comments into council on this, that they sent the contract out to us. And the response I got from them was a lot of these things are policy-based, not legally based, in terms of for us to consider. And so I did send it to council. So they advised me to go ahead and go over these issues in open session so everybody can hear what the comments and stuff are. Because I think there's some issues, I think, as a policy that we need to think about. One of the issues that we need to address is in the agreement itself, there's language that we put in the amendment that limited it to 8 hours a day. GWI has interpreted 8 hours a day as not more than 40 hours a week. And I think we need to make sure, my comments included whether we as a board say it's 8 hours a day or we say it's 40 hours a week. And so I think that's a policy decision that we need to think with. In the engagement letter, they talk about, and it's standard language in terms of it's a preparation, et cetera, and that we would be overseeing it. My comment on something like that is it's fine for the town to oversee these things, or the person responsible for overseeing it for the town, but I don't think we ought to be making representations as to the accuracy of the information because we actually didn't put it together. With respect to billing and what we're doing, we've inserted language which is good. And by the way, I do want to compliment Alice and council. There's been a lot of changes in here that I think are very positive in terms of the agreement. And in terms of the contract and stuff, that it talks about services are being performed on a needed basis. And obviously my comment would be generally on there that that's at the discretion of the town or the town manager to decide what that need is. Another, and again, this is a policy issue. When you're using consultants, they tend to work kind of odd hours. And generally, if you look at the billings and things that we've got from them, it puts the town, and I'm not going to use Alice, the town manager in a position where you're working with an outside party who is not in the same working hours that you are. I have, in my career, never had an instance when there was an emergency that I had to make an accounting adjustment. And I would suggest we consider whether some of those hours should be in accordance with what the town's working hours are. That way it would be easier for the town manager to manage the contract. I understand that's hard because obviously consultants work different hours. But I think it's something that we ought to consider. Also, we talked about it here that we agree to pay, if we happen to hire one of the people working here, that we would pay them 25% of the annual compensation. I'm assuming, and compensation can mean a lot of things. I think compensation, I believe that means salary, because compensation could be anything from benefits to whatever, and I don't like the wordsmithing of using the word compensation. I'm assuming that just means salary. So if they're paid $100,000 and we hire them, we give GWI $25,000. I think that's true. Let's see. There's some liability issues in here that I guess I would have to go over with Peng. It's about providing us information relating to the use of third parties, that we get that information so that we know the third parties that are being utilized by them. And again, I apologize to my other board members here, but these are comments that I sent it to council, thinking that they would be included. And by the way, none of these were included in the other ones. The other one that I have a little bit of an issue with, I love the board presentation, the budget that was done this year. If people remember, when Ms. Mack put this together, which I thought was a very, very nice job, she indicated that the system being used was her system that she created. So giving us the data doesn't mean we have the system to actually be able to use that information if we wanted to use that for our budget for next year. And I think that's something we've got to figure out a way to make sure that we can utilize the data that we get from them at the end of this contract. Normally if they're using our system, for example, for billing, that's a non-issue. But when you've got a specific system that was designed, I think she actually wrote it or put it together, which was pretty impressive. We've got to be able to use that information, and so giving us back raw data is just one step in the process. The other comments that I had went back to kind of cleaning up the 8 hours a day versus 40 hours a week thing. And again, that's a policy issue. When we get into discussion of the board, I can give my opinion on that, but I think we need to discuss, because we have before, does 8 hours mean 8 hours a day, or does it mean 40 hours a week? And the issue that I have is 40 hours a week under something like that could be, I work 15, 15, and 10, and I'm done. And then I've got 3 days left in the week. I think that is something we ought to consider as to whether we put a daily cap on it, not just a wheelie. And so I had other things, but I think assuming how we come out on this, we'd have to go into closed session and have council advise us. So I tried to keep it as short as I could, but.
Okay, so I have those items noted. I did want, Alice, I think that another board member had asked questions about the system and the data and that retention. Did you want to respond to that before we go on?
Sure.
Because I think that's an easy one.
Yeah. There was a question on how data is being accessed, how it's being stored. My response to the board, basically, we've got 2 computers that are set up within our server room that are locked, and it's used for, one's assigned to each person with GWI who's assisting us, 1 Ms. Deborah Mack and 2 Ms. Sylvia, who's helping on the AP side. So they're logging in just as if they were employees sitting here in the office. All of our data is backed up daily. Multi-factor authorization is also required to log in on the computers. We have the local backup as well as the cloud backup, which again, as I said, is done daily. The backup data is stored, in a FedRAMP and SOC 2 compliant data center. This means that they meet specific security requirements before federal agencies can use their services. We're not federal, but we follow their standards. It's everything is backed up daily. All work that they do is created. The templates that you mentioned about everything that was done for the budget, all of those templates are all housed in our finance file that is in our records. So we have that as the backups are. It's daily that we're obtaining and securing that information.
And as far as being able to use that data, I think, Alice, the key topic that you had touched on is it's our system now. So there shouldn't be an issue once a finance director is hired to be able to access and utilize the data that.
I'm a little bit confused. We have 2 computers that are here,
Yes, in our server
but they
room.
all work remotely.
Correct.
So they come in through the server, right?
Yes.
Okay, so, but those 2 systems would have everything that those 2 if Deborah if she's working remotely, everything she's working remotely on is going to be on that computer.
Correct.
Okay.
I just thought that was an easy one to touch.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I just want to make,
And-
to me, it's just,
And I mean, Ricky, you can correct me if I misstate, but, you know, our software, our financial software program, FMS, if you want to allude to how that is, how they access that
Yeah,
with the
FMS.
IP address.
right, and just real quick, my issue is not that we weren't backing it up. My issue is simply that when Deborah created that system, it's not like we've got a system that's being
Right, and the
maintained by
system
somebody else.
that Deborah created is just an Excel template,
Okay.
which we
That's
have
fine. No, we
and we
have
can
that.
reuse next year. No big deal.
That's my question, thanks.
But can you explain the FPS part on how?
FMS.
Yeah, sorry, FMS.
It's one of us.
Yeah, FMS is, the database is cloud hosted. There's a local client that gets installed on the computer, which is on the computers here. It's locked down by IP address, which is why they have computers here that they have to log into, because if you're not in this building or one of the other fire department, police department, you can't get to it. So they have to log into a computer here to be able to get to it.
Now I'm lost.
You there?
Go ahead, but
All
they're
right.
working remotely. Go ahead.
Right, so
Yeah.
we have two,
They remote into a computer here.
That's the
with,
question.
so they
The
remote into
FMS is
two
on.
computers here that have static IP addresses.
Right.
Those two computers access FMS in the cloud.
Right.
And so we're keeping static IPs for that connection to
Right.
FMS in the
Right.
cloud. Thank you.
Okay, got it.
All right.
All right, I'm happy with that. That's
Thank
fine.
you. I just want, I know
Thanks,
that
Rick.
that's a stretch on policy, Rick, but I wanted to
No,
just
that's
kind of
fine.
close that one down. All right. Any other additional comments from the board?
I got a couple questions. And I don't know if it's correct to answer them here, ask them here in closed session, but the first thing is my understanding of the definition of compensation always was salary and benefits. That's the difference,
Me too.
correct? When you said salary, you thought that they were the same,
Right.
salary and benefits, right? Is that what we're talking about here, Laura?
That's what we're talking about, but I'll reserve an opinion for closed session.
Okay. Second thing is working hours, mirroring the town's working hours. Are we overstepping our bounds here contractually with a contractor when we do that?
There can be some risk with contractors, independent contractors being deemed employees if there's a tipping point in control. But those are legal arguments that we can make.
Okay, and final question for the town manager on that same subject. Has there ever been an instance where you've had difficulty in communicating with or getting in touch with our contractors or contracted support at GWI when you needed them?
No.
So we have a precedent set that it may not necessarily be required to go down this path, is the only thing I'm trying to get to here. Thanks.
Okay, additional comments? Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I would just like to remind everyone the comment that was made earlier about how GWI has moved us forward in the FEMA panel project, I don't know, portal, whatever you call it, to the tune that we are finally and now able to work on closing out the projects from Hurricane Florence, which occurred 7 years ago, and the town is still out the money that we put out for those projects because FEMA reimburses the communities after they've expended the funds. And this company, GWI, has got us to a point where we're finally going to get reimbursed. So I am very favorable towards their work and what they have done for us.
Thank you. Ms. Plettle, did you have anything? Are you good? For now? Yes. Alderman Ashevsky.
I had some issues that I think will be legal issues around scopes of work and contractual issues. So I do think this needs legal counsel advice in regards to work schedule and the legal issues that I see that we need to cover the town to protect us both in our financial investment with a contract and in the scope of work that gets accomplished, including outlining in more detail some deliverables.
So, do you want to make a motion to table it in special closed session? Yes. And then come back? Yes. Okay. So is there a second to that?
Second. Aye.
Aye.
No. Yes.
I do appreciate, Beth, you being on the phone, so I would like to give you an opportunity if there's anything that you do want to address the board with. You don't have to, just offer.
Yeah, I appreciate the offer, and I just want to say how much we appreciate the opportunity to work with you. We are very pleased with the progress that we have made. One thing that hasn't been mentioned is that we have processes to leave behind when we are done and you have hired your new finance officer. The AP process, which is critical and has been critical, is done and ready for whoever needs to use it. We worked on the steps to close out the FEMA project so that the next person to come behind us can be able to do this and has the steps to do it. Again, matching up what the FEMA says they'll pay you and what they have paid you is a big deal. And so, again, I think we're gonna, again, this was not mentioned, that we are leaving behind the processes that a new finance officer can follow so that things that have been done will not fall through the cracks in the future. But again, thank you so much for the opportunity to work with you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I do want to say if we are going to go into closed session with this, I wish that we could keep it succinct, keep it, let's stay in our lane. There's so many things that this board does that is outside of our responsibility that maybe should be the town manager's responsibility. And we are coming from a good place, trying to get things done correctly, but we can't keep kicking this can down the road. This needs to be completed, figured out, and done today.
I agree, and that's why I do have notes on what Alderman Grant brought up as policy issues, and the board sets policy. So these are the items that we should be discussing if it's policy related. You good? Okay. All right, then we'll table that for closed session, and we're going to move on to the BISAC update with Chair Strother.
Y'all are in the clouds, and I'm going to talk about the beach. I understand the beach. We had the BISAC, which is the Beach Inlet Sound Advisory Committee, had its meeting on Tuesday, June the 17th, and we had an update from Manager Darian, which is very similar to the one you had today, so there's no sense in me going back over that. The main purpose of our meeting on that day was to discuss the results of the one-stop meeting that had been held with our coastal engineering firm, with Jamie Pratt, who's with TI, and with, of course, Chris Gibson. And so I'm just going to give you a quick update of what the results of that was, and just give you, we're on track for where we said we were going, and so it's just a matter of moving forward. So let me just tell you this: they had their one-stop meeting, and you know, I've never been to one of the one-stop meetings, but as I understand it, it's a matter of everybody sitting around from different departments and different, you know, agencies and whatnot, and we talk about the plan and what we want to do with it. And generally, when that meeting takes place, you don't walk away from there and they said, "Oh, everything you just presented is great." They're there to discuss all the portions of it that need to be corrected or given some direction on what you've got to do. So, and this one was no difference. They had the response of the project from the one-stop meeting, which is all those different agencies, was a no. They basically said, you know, we don't like the project as you've given it all to us 100%, and which is expected. I mean, it gives a lot of conversation. So from that, you go away with what then you're going to change and to get your final permitting. And the only thing that we got a really strong no on was our temporary retention structure, which we've talked about a number of times up on the north, and they're saying that the resounding no that we got there is because it's considered to be a terminal growing even though we call it a temporary retention structure, they say that we're still talking about a terminal growing which has a separate process of being approved. So it's not that they weren't saying that it wasn't going to get approved. They're saying that they're not the people that's going to approve it. We've got to go a different direction to do that. So, which is, and I'll discuss that a little later. There was concern expressed about the quality and the color, the dark color of some of the material from our borrow site where we're going to be getting our materials from. And they're not saying that the sand is not usable. They're just saying that there was some concern of some of the darkness of some of the dirt. That's not a problem. I mean, we'll talk about that, but that's not a problem. They're just questioning whether it is. I mean, the engineers, they're not working off the results and all the testing that was done by the engineering firm. They're just talking about the color. And if in fact some of that sand ended up on the beach, it will turn lighter. So there's not an issue of us putting dark sand on there that's going to make the beach look different. There was also concern expressed about the impact to the north end because it's a bird nesting habitat. You know, we got to take care of our birds. So in any event, so that was a conversation. The environmental impact study is expected to be completed by August of this year that we're working on. And our next step is to work the comments that we received from the one-stop meeting to finalize beach placement, review geotech data, make the necessary adjustments to the project to move forward on final permit application and submittal to CAMA in September of 25. So we're hoping by this coming September that we will be presenting a permit application to CAMA. And that's the goal that we're working on. That's a goal that they feel like that they can meet. So, and this presentation, I didn't say this, they were both here, but this presentation was made by Jamie Pratt, who is actually the person in charge of our project and is working on our project. Very, very, very well-spoken, definitive kind of guy. We'll look for other ways to place the sand in the north end without use of a temporary structure, such as making the north end a borrow area and environmental island. In other words, so that's something they're going to be looking at too for temporary processes. It is expected that the Corps will continue to use the borrow area. Easements from property owners for placement of the pipeline have to be obtained. The area that we're going to be going through is not built on or inhabited, so it's a matter of we're just going across. We have to get a permit to lay our pipe across their property, which is not any invasive type project to be done. Takes 5 to 6 months for CAMA to review process before permits are approved. We could possibly put the project out to bid in November of this year without permit approval. We'll just see how things are going and where we are at that point in time. But we could go out for pricing prior to that permitting stage if we get to the point that looks like something that we want to go ahead and do. Pardon? I know. I mean, he didn't do that to anybody else. You know what I'm saying? There's something about my voice. My wife has that same problem sometimes. I know. But is this on TV? Anyway, I stay in trouble anyway. So it just where was I? Anyway, hopefully we're hoping that if everything goes the way that we're planning, and there's no reason that it couldn't, not that it won't, but that it couldn't, could be awarded by March of 26. So by March of next year, we could be awarding a bid to clearing and grubbing, and site work could happen in the summer, and equipment mobilization would begin to start work in November of 26. So our plan all along has been moving towards, well, at first we thought 25. We had issues that presented a lot of problem there. But now, for the last long while, we've known that it was going to be in 26. So we look like that we're on track to do that if, in fact, all that happens as would be. We had some questioning. By some members. One, we've discussed before, but if phases 1, 2, and 3 become engineered beaches, will there be FEMA coverage? If a terminal groin is still possible, where will funding come from if FEMA should go away, which was a good question. And is the terminal groin still in play? Not the temporary structure, but the actual terminal groin itself. And the responses from our engineers was that yes, if phases 1, 2, and 3 become an engineered beach, there will be FEMA coverage. Yes, a terminal groin is still an option. Estimated cost would be about $10 million town's part. We will look at a soft solutions for the north end, such as reshaping it or making it an environmental island sanctuary. So there's various options that they're just looking at. We're not saying that any of that stuff's going to happen. Currently, FEMA covers 75% of damages, and the state covers 25%. An idea floating around is that FEMA may only administer block grants. Right now, a long-term project for FEMA funding has to go through the environmental study process, which delays it roughly 2 to 3 years. It is possible that the bureaucracy will go away, but not the funding. That makes sense? In other words, FEMA as such may go away, but there's still going to be funding. It just may not be working through FEMA. Once the project is finished, we must consider where we're going to get the sand long term, and that was in answer to one of the public questions that was asked by someone that said that we'd done a great job, and he felt like that things were moving positively for doing phases 1, 2, and 3. But that if we use up all this sand, then where's the sand going to come from to maintain for the future? So that was just an address to that question. And yes, that is something that we'll continue to have to be looking at about where it's going to come from. And you know, my question was where we are financially with coastal, and the answer was at this time there's nothing that the town needs to do to financially move forward. There's nothing except for the permitting when we get to that point. And so anyway, that's what we discussed, and it looks like that, and that's kind of the schedule that it looks like we're going towards. We tentatively have a meeting in July, which probably won't take place. That'll probably get pushed unless something exciting happens between now and then. So I'll be letting you know on that pretty shortly. Any questions?
I do, and it may be something that I need board consideration or consensus on. So, first of all, I appreciate the update. That was great, and I apologize I was not at the last meeting. But if what the board approved was to go out for permits for this, which included some type of temporary structure. So if the plan has to be reworked for the north end to be able to get sand on the beach and have you know, FEMA beaches up there, I'm assuming that modified plan needs to come back to the board.
I can address that. We discussed this. That's not what we did. We approved Chris to go after as many of the permits as he could get to get the projects done.
But that was based on a scope of what he presented as the project being.
Yeah, and he has made all those filings. The only thing he's saying is at risk is whether we can get the temporary structure or not. The idea is the other scope will not change. We would do all the other work as we permitted, okay? And I think that anybody who was involved in this knew the hardest lift on this thing was going to be that last piece.
Right, and that's the piece I'm talking about. And it's not that I have an issue with what the proposed options would be.
Oh, no, if this involves a groin or something, it's got to come back to us.
Yeah.
All this is,
But I
this is
think
only a
even if
permitting
it
phase.
doesn't, I still think that the board should be involved in any decisions that are actually being made for projects moving forward.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
if it gets to the point where
Absolutely.
we're changing what we're submitting
I see where
for
you're coming
permits
from,
on,
yes.
it needs to come back.
We're not
Anything that we do to change the plan that was presented and approved by this
That's
board.
what I'm saying.
It's back here.
We will come back to this board.
Okay.
Coastal will come back to this board with what we're proposing to do, and what significant change that will make in the future and what's going to be happening. It's not going to change anything about getting sand on phases 1, 2, and 3. What it's going to affect is some of what the temporary structure might have done or would do, but we weren't positive we were going to get approval on that anyway.
No, I
But
understand.
yes, we were proposing that be the case. But what we will do, anything that happens concerning habitats or anything else that we do, there'll be some kind of change come back to the board. The board
Right, I
will
mean,
have to approve
right.
anything.
To put this in perspective, think about this
Yeah.
as being, the architect is laying out a design for us to look at that's got to come back to us for approval. All he's done is going forward with the permitting process and to find out what is available for us to permit. That then has to come back to us.
We're
There's
saying
no
the
more
same
money.
thing.
Yeah, there's no more money spent on anything. We're not approving as a board anything. First off, we don't even know what it costs.
Right, we're saying the same thing. I just want to
Right.
make
Yeah.
sure
No, that's
that
clear.
everybody understands that this
Yeah.
is a
There-
think tank and the spending decisions still need to come back to
We
us.
we want the responsibility to be on you.
And we greatly appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, we are going to move into new business. So we have a few vacancies on our boards. The first one is the Board of Adjustments, and the second one will be the Planning Board. And what we've done in the past, and I'm going to look to our attorney for guidance on this, is we have done the ballot method as far as voting. So I believe that that's probably how we want to continue to do that.
I would continue to follow your previous practice, yes.
Okay, so then the first one that we are going to be filling would be one vacancy for the Board of Adjustments, and we want to thank both candidates for applying. That would be Gray Chapman and Christy Barefoot. It's not, what, are you raising your question?
When you get to that point of voting, my wife is no way, she's been in all the great career opportunities. She's in the Concord area, she's taken it, there's no way she can quit.
Oh, okay, so we need to remove Miss Barefoot? Okay.
She would love to have done it, but she's not been to do this.
Okay.
Great opportunity that might have.
Well, that makes it easier.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
But Mayor, point of clarification, I looked at the roster, there are two positions, the chair and member position expired back in May, not one, two.
For the Board of Adjustments?
Yes, looking at the roster right here. Hannah McLeod, chair, expired May 1st, and Scott Morris, member, expired May 1st. So there's two. So what I'm proposing is that we elevate Jason Starr as alternate full member and then vote in a new member.
I like that.
Are you on the site plan? Are you on the board site, on the town?
I'm looking at the town website. It's been this way for a long time.
So are we allowed to, I guess we are allowed to amend this?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just asking for a point of clarification. So, yes, so I would need a motion to make, Mike, do you want to make that motion?
Okay, the motion would be to elevate Jason Starr from alternate to full membership of the Board of Adjustment and to elect one new member to fill out that roster.
And we only have, since Ms. Barefoot's not able to proceed, we've only got one member as an applicant, which would be Gray Chapman.
Yes.
So the motion would be to elevate Jason Starr to a full member and to appoint Gray Chapman as the other member.
Correct.
I'll second that.
The only thing I would say, I would say on Gray, I would just say to do it by unanimous consent. Right, not just a, because
Separate
otherwise,
them.
I would separate them.
We've only got one applicant.
Yeah, I don't.
We don't need to do a secret ballot.
That's my
No,
point.
no, he's not saying that.
That's why I'm
He's just
saying
saying,
don't
should
do
we
it.
have two
I'm
motions?
saying just do it by unanimous consent. We only have one
Let's
person.
not make this hard.
Okay, so, right, I kind of agree, we've only got the one, so
Right.
we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have all in favor? Okay, all right, let's move on
That'll be
to,
interesting minutes.
Before
Go
we
ahead.
move on from Board of Adjustments, is it the will of the board to advertise for an alternate position?
Yes, please.
Yes. Aye.
By consensus, Chip.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the planning board vacancy. We will remove Miss Barefoot from that, and we are going to, we have one vacancy unless Alderman Benson tells me different. So we want to thank the following applicants: Lisa Brown, Gray Chapman, Brenda Morse, Barbara Swavely, and James Smith. And we will do this one by ballot, please. Again, there's one vacancy.
Not to sway votes, but in the past, well, I'm not going to say it. We've tried not to have the same person on two different boards. Oh, you don't.
Okay. Lisa Brown? James Smith? Lisa Brown? Lisa Brown? Lisa Brown. 4 votes for Lisa Brown and 1 vote for James Smith.
Okay, thanks to everyone and congratulations to Lisa. And then I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem Leonard for his letters regarding Senator Tillis and
Okay.
Bud.
Ricky, could you possibly put that up? It's in the last 2 pages of and just make it bigger. There you go. Thanks. Okay. We found out earlier, or during last month, that in addition to the House resolution that's going forward on the Congress side, H.R. 1885, that our 2 U.S. senators filed a bill on the Senate side, Senate Bill 1724. In my discussions with our federal lobbyist, former Congressman Mike McIntyre, he suggested that because they had done this and had done it so quickly since we had been up there in April, that we should sit down and put together a thank you letter to the 2 senators for the work that they and their staffs did. And so I worked with former Congressman McIntyre, figured he was a pretty good source of information on this, since at one point in time he was one of those guys up there that got these letters, so he knew what they should look like. And he and I sat down and hammered out this letter. And he reminded me that it is a thank you note. We're thanking them, we're being gracious and thanking them for their support. So the letter's here, and it's prepared for the signature of the mayor and the board members, which if we get done today, we can then get in the mail quickly. In addition to that, and speaking with him, he actually called me as I was backing out my driveway this morning. We're coordinating with the folks at Fish and Wildlife and the subcommittee that has our bill up at the House side to try to figure out where it's at and when it's going to get moved to the full Natural Resources Committee. And as of yesterday, there was a meeting with Fish and Wildlife and the Natural Resources, the subcommittee that has our bill, to work out some additional details in the language of the bill for example, to include the roads. We had asked in the bill to have parcels removed from COBRA, and it was a suggestion of the service, Fish and Wildlife Service, that we also include the roads in those areas of the town. So that in the event that we have a natural disaster and qualify for federal funds, that those federal funds would also include repairs to our roadways. So that's where we're at. I think at this point, just wanted to let everybody know. I don't know if we need a motion. I don't know if we need discussion. But that's kind of where we're at with these two letters. They're both the same, one to Tillis, one to Bud, and that's where we're at, subject to questions.
We taking comments? I'd sent a note to Tom. Both the House and the Senate bills are in committee. And my suggestion on this, which we can accept or reject, is this is sitting in the and by the way, I'm 100% for sending out thank you letters to these guys. My concern is I don't want this to be something they just file. And this sits in a committee who, ironically, my neighbor when I lived in Charleston, Shelley Capito, was the senator that heads up this committee. We need to get it out of committee. And so I think it's a great idea to send this letter. My only comment was whether we need to either, and we need to ask our citizens to also contact the committee members. And neither Bud nor Tillis is on that committee. And so, and it's not a political comment, but I think everybody here knows that Senator Tillis is not going to run for re-election. And he's the sponsor of the bill right now. So I think we need to get pressure to move this thing forward. And again, I'm 100% behind sending this. My only comment as to whether my comment was, please let us know what steps or help we can provide to move the bill through the Committee on Environment and Public Works so we can advance the bill to the Senate. That was my only comment. I think this is a great idea to do this. I think getting the town to sign this is a very positive thing. My only concern is I want to make sure this just doesn't get filed someplace. And I think that Tom's done a good job, particularly working on the House bill.
Okay. One of the examples of how we're moving this forward occurred today with the conversation I had with Congressman McIntyre on the way here with regard to what happened yesterday with the service, with Fish and Wildlife Service. So things are happening up there. You know, obviously with what's going on with the big, beautiful bill, I'm not sure what else is really happening behind the scenes up there, but the subcommittee folks are working on things and they're getting things done. I talked to our folks up there between our federal lobbyist, Congressman McIntyre, and our folks in the two senators' offices and Ray Celeste over in Congressman Murphy's office. I probably talk to these people a couple, 3 times a month. So things are happening there. I would say to your point, Rick, you bring up a good idea, and we did this last time, and I will do it again. We'll go through and make a list with email addresses and office addresses for all those subcommittee or those committee members on the Senate side. Because what we've got, as we all know, we've got homeowners from every state in the union here. And some of those people that sit on those bills are representatives for some of the people who own property here that don't necessarily live here. And it's always more helpful, I think, that if your senator from Missouri, is on this committee, that you write, and you sign it from your residence in Knob-Noster, Missouri, for example. It's a great little town. But I think the point's taken. We get our citizenry who are absentee homeowners that come from some other state to target their representatives. And so I'll work on that. We can throw it up on a website and take a day or two, but we can get it done.
I love that's a great idea.
And we've done that before.
It's where I got nervous. I looked at the minority people on this committee.
Oh, yeah.
Bernie Sanders, okay, Merkley, Adam Schiff.
Yeah.
And, none of them like anything that's from the other thing. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, there's
Tom.
some real fun people on
Yeah, there are.
committee. But anyway, so that we've got the letters. I think Alice has them for signature. We can all sign them after the meeting, and we're done. And I don't think we need a motion or anything like that, Mayor. We need to agree to agree. Okay.
I like that. That's great.
All right. That's all I have.
Okay, so the next item is the second open forum. Is there anybody signed up?
No.
Is there anybody that would like to speak? Yes.
By the way, Kip loves Vitex, apparently.
You got 3 minutes.
Go ahead, you can respond to that.
3 minutes, got it. Kip Malcolm, 3102 Green Street. I'm the Vice President of the Ocean City Beach Citizens Council, and I'm honored to speak with you today on behalf of the Ocean City Beach Citizens Council. We're a group dedicated to preserving the heart and soul of our beach community. At its core, the Ocean City Beach Citizens Council is about preserving, protecting, and promoting our unique way of life here in North Topsail Beach. We are a coalition of residents, property owners, and supporters who care deeply about Ocean City. It's a vibrant, welcoming, and historically rooted area that, whether it's addressing community concerns, supporting smart development, or championing preservation of our history and environment, we work to make sure local voices are heard. One of our proudest collaborations each year is the Ocean City Jazz Festival, a cultural highlight that brings people from across the region together for an unforgettable weekend of music, unity, and tradition. And the council appreciates the support of the town as well. This year's Ocean City Jazz Festival is shaping up to be one of the best. It's from July 4th through July 6th, and there's a stunning lineup of jazz legends and rising stars, all performing just steps away from our shores. But the festival is about more than music. It's a celebration of history and heritage of Ocean City, which was one of the first places in North Carolina where African Americans could purchase beachfront property in the Jim Crow era. By attending the festival, you're not only enjoying world-class jazz, you're supporting the preservation of that legacy and helping ensure that the stories of Ocean City are never forgotten. So join us, bring your family, invite your neighbors, experience the rhythm of Ocean City. Tickets are available now. And proceeds go back to the community projects and continued work for the Ocean City Beach Citizens Council. So let's come together to honor the past, celebrate the present, and shape a future that sings with possibility. And the website again is oceancityjazzfest.com. Thank you, and hope to see you all at the festival.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? Okay, then I am going to move on to the attorney's report.
Nothing to report today, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. From the mayor's report, I just want to say happy 4th of July, and I also want to make sure that everybody is pleased, as safe as they could possibly be on this holiday weekend. We don't need any incidents with loose fireworks and fires because of the fireworks, and just please be safe. I'm going to go with Alderman Plettel.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to give a sea turtle report. Surprise, surprise. We have 49 sea turtle nests on the island so far, and not that it's a competition, but North Topsail Beach is in the lead with 33 sea turtle nests. Surf City has 9, and Topsail Beach has 7. If you have ocean front houses, please keep your front lights off, if you would, please. Go to the Ocean City Jazz Fest. It's awesome. Have a safe and happy 4th of July. It's going to be a lot of people, so everybody be patient with and kind to one another. Thank you.
Alderman Benson.
As you can see, I've got my holiday shirt on. I'm not going to sing any Jimmy Buffett for you, however, but I wish everybody a happy and safe 4th of July.
Mayor Pro Tem.
My shirt's got flags and U.S. maps and little grills and fireworks on it. So I got my festive shirt on too. Thank everybody for coming out. It was a great turnout today. I know there was a lot of folks were here for the public hearing and stuff, and I think we did a good thing there with the thing with Osprey and in the parking lot. Happy and safe 4th to everyone. I realize as a former Marine just exactly how much fun explosives can be, but probably not around town. I'm looking forward to the Jazz Festival. It's going to be a great time. It was a great time last year. Can't wait. And finally, I'm really excited after the amount of years that we've all been kicking this Cobra can down the road that we're finally seeing something that we haven't seen in a long time, which is with the 2 companion bills, one in each chamber. Right now, that's huge. You got my word. I'll stay on top of this, and I'm not going to let it go. I'm like like a bulldog with something in my jaw with this thing. I want to get it done. And hopefully we'll get it done this year. And that's all I have.
Alderman Olszewski.
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for showing up to the meetings. We do need participation from the community. The town still has open positions we're trying to fill, so please reach out or have folks reach out if they'd like to work for the town. This is an election year. There'll be board member seats and a mayor election. And as we celebrate the spirit of freedom, we thank everyone for participating in this town's journey to move forward, because we do have a great beach community. Wishing you and yours a wonderful Independence Day. Stay safe out there, fill in those holes, and happy 4th.
Alderman Grant.
Frankie finally figured out that by July 4th, we actually have the pump station working now. I made the mistake of asking him when July 4th, I forgot to ask year, but apparently the pump station is now working, so hopefully we're going to have lots of water this year. Everybody knows I'm on the Onwassa board. Happy about that. I think they're moving forward. Onslow County is not raising their property taxes this year. I do have some bad news, though, is because this is very bad news. We actually have the lowest property tax rates on the island right now. I don't know if everybody's been following that, but Surf City is now at 53, Topsail's at 48. Both towns raised theirs by 20 and 25%. We did not raise our taxes here at all, nor did Onslow County. And so we are substantially below on a tax rate what the other towns are. And I think that's a very good thing, and I think that we are right now financially in a position where I don't see us raising taxes for the foreseeable future. I think that we have done a very good job of putting money away. Mike mentioned the fact that we could do the FEMA projects. Remember, though, the money that was on Florian wasn't 7 years ago. We spent that money more recently. But also, and I couldn't tell or not, I believe, on the Phase 5, $15 million we started off 3 years ago, paying off. We're on our last payment on that, and that'll be the last debt. That's the only debt that we've got of any significance, not counting the firehouse. But other than that, we're going to be basically debt-free, which is huge. And I think that planning is what kept us from having to do with what the other towns did. We've been planning this for a long time, and so I'm really proud of what we did. So that's it.
All right, do I have a motion to go into closed session?
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay, so what I need is a motion to come out of closed session, please.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so during closed session, we did discuss the GWI contract, and what we have is a motion to approve an amended contract for GWI, and I'm hoping if I can't read my notes, somebody's going to jump in. But there was only 3 requested modifications. One is that the vendor stick to an 8-hour per day schedule not to exceed 40 hours per week unless it's approved by the town manager in writing.
8 hours and 8 hours a day and 40 hours.
That's what I said, didn't?
Oh, you did. You left out 8 hours.
Oh, I said it at the beginning. All right, I will state it again. I said 8 hours per day, not to exceed 40 hours per week unless approved by the town manager in writing. So maybe I was too quiet on the 8. There's a section in there that discusses if you were to hire one of their employees, and it talks about compensation. We requested that to be changed to salary and have a timeline on it of 90 days. And then the last item I had was as it relates to travel to strike hotel and meals. So that's what I have as the amended contract language. Do I have a motion to?
Motion to approve?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
You did not, you're opposing me?
No, I said aye. I didn't hit my button.
Oh,
quick.
okay.
No,
All right.
You said any opposed, and he said aye.
I
but
know.
He didn't hit the button, so
Yeah.
it sounded like he said aye to the no.
I know. Okay, so we are all in favor. So then what I need now is a motion to dismiss. That wasn't part of the contract. We were just talking about.
We don't need a motion on that. It's a consensus of the council
Yeah.
unless the council wants to comment on that. The
No.
board wants to comment on that.
On the payment.
That's up to the chair.
I don't wish to do that.
Okay, well, just for the record, I will bring up in the next meeting that I'm opposed to the payment schedule approved by the consensus of the board, because I don't think it's a good, I think that we are stewards of the money in this town, and we will be spending under this contract. They have not lived up to the terms of the contract, in my opinion, and we will have spent $600,000 with them. I think that the contract language that we put in here is very helpful in how we move forward with this contract, but I don't think that we're being good stewards of the town's money by paying somebody without a change order, okay, that performed work not in accordance with their contract. And again, this contract, and including the money we've already spent, is the equivalent to about 4 cents in property taxes that will be incurred through this company going forward. And so I object to paying them amounts not for that they did under the contract, but for amounts that were not included, that were above the amounts that were able to be billed under the contract. So I fundamentally disagree with paying somebody for work that they performed outside the contract. And also to note that this is a contract, again, that over that period of time is the equivalent of about 4 cents in property taxes.
Mayor.
Yes. I said, did anybody,
She was a nay.
I was a nay.
I didn't hear you say nay. Okay.
So I'm a nay.
Okay, so as long as that's in the record? Okay. Sorry, I didn't hear you say that. Okay, motion to dismiss?
Motion to dismiss.
All in favor? Second, aye.
Aye.
Adjourn, I'm out.
Adjourn.
Thank you, Con.
Aye.